The most common fear men experience before they commit. We're going to dive into this topic today. And I think it's really important to define what is commitment, because the reality is commitment can make or break a romantic relationship. Really, to some degree, all relationships can be made or broken by a lack of commitment. So one of the questions that's often asked in the early phases of dating is, where is this relationship going? In other words, is this a potential serious relationship? Is it real? Meaning, does it have real potential? Or are we just spending time together? And I think that's one of the questions most often asked. The minute two people, well, at least oftentimes for women, the question most often asked is, where is this relationship going? Is this relationship, does it have legs? Is this going to lead to some level of commitment? Now, some would say that we should know this early on. Love at first sight, if we have off the charts mutual attraction. If you have this off the charts mutual attraction, you naturally believe that this is going to lead somewhere. But the reality is very rarely do couples actually have off the charts mutual attraction. And in fact, oftentimes it's merely lust or limerence that they're experiencing in the early stages. And so the relationship has little or no legs. So coming back to commitment, I think it's important to identify what is commitment to you. And I'm going to share with you I'm currently writing a new book. Not that far into it, but one of the principles is the 3 levels of commitment. And by the way, before a man can experience one of the significant level, this final level, the third level, he's going to experience this most common fear. We're going to dive into that. So what are the 3 levels of commitment? Well, the first level of commitment is usually the agreement to monogamy and exclusivity. These days, since physical intimacy happens well before any significant commitment, and what I mean to say is commitments such as marriage or an engagement, these days, sex seems to happen well before that. But I'm a big proponent that if 2 people are going to have physical intimacy with one another, that they have at least some level of commitment towards one another, some level of agreement towards monogamy and exclusivity. Now, monogamy and exclusivity are a little bit different. Monogamy is the agreement that if 2 people are having physical sex together, that they're not going to have sex with somebody else. They're not going to have sex with somebody else. Okay. Now, exclusivity is basically the agreement that each person agrees not to actively meet and seek new people. That's what exclusivity is. Now, some people think monogamy and exclusivity is too much commitment. But I think if you're going to have sex with someone, the agreement to monogamy and exclusivity should be the bare minimum level of commitment, at least from my vantage point. And I'd like to hear if you feel the same. So just simply write in the comments, yes, I agree. If we're going to have sex, monogamy and exclusivity should be at least one layer of commitment. But in my book, it's the first layer of commitment. What's the second layer of commitment? See, to me, second layer of commitment is when 2 people begin operating as a team together. They begin to integrate into each other's lives. They actually help each other in each other's lives. It might be, hey, I've got a package that I'm going to Amazon to drop off a return. Hey, do you need me to do one of those for you while I go do this? That would be a demonstration of teamwork. One demonstration of teamwork might be, hey, I've got a 6 a.m. flight at the airport. Do you mind dropping me off at the airport instead of ordering an Uber? That's another level of teamwork. Maybe you've got a family gathering to go to. Maybe you're planning a family gathering like Thanksgiving or some event where you're working as a team to entertain everybody in the house. I believe when couples start to integrate into each other's lives and they begin this second level of commitment of teamwork, you're beginning to build the deep roots of trust, or you're beginning to build the roots of trust that can sustain a fully committed relationship. Now, I said the deep roots of trust. Sadly, very few couples actually ever reach this level of teamwork with one another, because today we see most human beings are in a casual relationship. They've agreed to some level of monogamy, they agreed to some level of exclusivity, but they're not actually building a life together. They're not integrating into each other's lives. And that's where that second level of teamwork begins. Now, the third level, and I'm going to tell you, every man has a fear at this third level. But I think it's important to recognize what this third level is. And the third level is all in. I'm all in. It's basically sickness and health, good and bad. It's effectively, it's death do us part. In other words, I'm all in this relationship. I've got your back. I'm not going anywhere. I only want you. And you're both reciting that to each other. I've got your back. I'm not going anywhere. I only want you. That's all in. And the sad reality is very few people actually reach this level of all in. And I think that's where dating is rather complicated, because today dating is more for the entertainment of one another. Most couples just want some level of companionship, some level of connection, some level of sex. So they're dating for the entertainment, or to basically either entertain one another or be entertained by one another. See, very few couples actually enter into the dating marketplace with a mindset of partnership very early on. That mindset, is this something long-term or is this something short-term? Partnership seeks it from a long-term, but we have a very short-term mating strategy, particularly for men. Ladies, I know this is a challenge for you, but men basically, since sex is actually given well before any significant commitment happens, that old adage, why buy the cow if you can get the milk for free? And please forgive that analogy. I know that offends many of you. But the point is these days we don't need a significant commitment to begin that first level of monogamy and exclusivity. Again, that's one level of commitment, but we don't need a significant promise towards some future with one another. Now, it used to be up until roughly about 1990. Did anyone see the movie Sleepless in Seattle? Do you realize that people over 40, if they were single or never married or divorced, do you know the likelihood of attracting a life partner was very slim back then? In fact, there's a line in the movie Sleepless in Seattle said I think it's easier to be killed by a terrorist, and I'm butchering this line, than it is to find love over 40. Now, today, because of swipe apps, we have abundance of opportunity, but it's no longer based on scarcity. It's based on a perceived abundance. In fact, the average woman on a dating app has been swiped at least 100 times. I'm going to share with you. I speak to women who have been swiped 500, swiped right, meaning that there's interest. I know some women have been swiped right 500, 1,000. I even talked to a woman who had 6,000 swipes over the course of a year. 6,000 swipes. That means 6,000 men were interested. And then you have to learn how to weed through all that. So in the past, in the 1990s, we operated from a place of scarcity. And today we operate from this perceived abundance. When we think of commitment, though, we think about the dating process. I think it's radically important to recognize that dating is a vetting process to determine if two people are compatible with one another. And it's imperative to do your due diligence before you become physically intimate with someone, or at least that's my invitation for you all. If you haven't read the book 8 Dates by Doctors John and Julie Gottman, I highly recommend reading chapter 1 before you go out in the dating marketplace so you can read up on trust and commitment. But I think it's important to recognize that I would say most of the by the way, my audience is midlife, which is after baby making years and before retirement. I would say that your ideal candidate is what I think you would want: a man of character, of high value. And I'm going to share with you my list of what I believe character and high value represents. So character represents that man who's consistent with his words and his actions. His actions and words and actions match one another. There's a consistency. Number two, he's generous and he's kind. He's generous and kind. Number three, he communicates clearly without having to be right. He communicates clearly without having to be right. Number four, he's clear about commitment. He's not looking to use someone. He's very crystal clear. He has an intention for commitment. Number five, they have their act together, both in their physical world and their emotional world. In other words, they pay their bills on time. They can pay their rent. They have money in the bank, but also they're not addicted to drugs and alcohol to circumvent or to numb the emotional pain that oftentimes many humans experience. They've certainly worked on healing their past relationships. They may not be fully healed, but they're healing their past relationships. They do introspective work on themselves. They believe in being protective of the other person from an empathetic point of view. And lastly, they believe demonstrating trust through integrity is paramount for them. Those are the men that I consider high value, those men of character. See, emotional maturity is so radically important because without a level of emotional maturity, I'll be candid with you, most relationships end because most humans have poor communication skills. They have poor relationship skills. If you haven't read the book, Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg. By the way, all the books I recommend are listed below. I highly recommend reading this. By the way, ladies, many of you are just as equally as dysfunctional when it comes to clear communication. So I highly recommend reading this book so you can actually become better equipped. See, most midlife folks have this common issue I'm about to share. And that's when we shift from a me to a me to a we. See, the most common fear men experience before they ever fully commit is surrender, is giving up their autonomy, their freedom, their sovereignty, or at least their individual life that is just simply a me to actually incorporate a we, another person, into their life. Because the reality is with a relationship, it comes with it emotional and physical responsibility for another. Emotional and physical responsibility for another. Remember I said level 3 of commitment is all in? That means I am taking on this other person because trust isn't just about fidelity. Trust is this other person's well-being. Their well-being is my well-being. And so we are taking on emotional responsibility for another human being, but we're also agreeing to take on that physical responsibility. If they're sick, I'm going to take care of you. If you've got a problem in your life, I've got your back. And I think this is one of the reasons why casual relationships outnumber serious, significant relationships today. Let me repeat that. Casual relationships outnumber serious relationships, all-in relationships, long-term, fully committed relationships, because it allows you to have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. And by the way, I know many women who feel the exact same way. Many of you don't want to live with someone. You don't want to take care of someone. I hear from women all the time, I don't want to be a nurse and I don't want to be a purse. See, this fear of giving up our freedom to surrender to the we is a very common fear that both men and women experience because it's rather scary, especially if you're like most people in midlife where you've had a significant relationship that didn't work out. Roughly 75% of singles in the dating marketplace over 45 years old are divorced, meaning you went in with all the hope, all the dreams, all the love, only to have it not work out. And what oftentimes people go out in the dating marketplace emotionally replacing what they have, but they haven't done the work to be prepared. And in many cases, they haven't built their own sovereignty. So they operate from a codependent perspective, or they operate from a counter-dependent perspective. Typically, codependent people tend to have an anxious attachment style, and counterdependent people tend to have an avoidant attachment style. If you haven't read the book, Learning Love by Thais Gibson, I highly recommend reading this so you can understand the attachment style, because many human beings believe that love, well, let me reframe that. Many human beings don't understand that insecure attachment to another human being, they perceive that as love. And in many cases, they dive all into a relationship from an unhealthy vantage point instead of a healthy vantage point. So when I talk about the most common fear men experience before fully committed, remember I talked about those high value men of character that have done the work, that operate from a place of a we, emotionally speaking. They're still letting go of our sovereignty, not to suggest that you actually do let go of it, but to invite someone into your life can be rather scary. It can create fear. Because the minute we agree to take on someone, it's no longer about the me, it becomes the we. And that's a big responsibility from an emotional standpoint, from a physical standpoint. That's why we see so many people in casual relationships. They simply have one foot in, one foot out. It takes a lot of it. By the way, romantic relationships aren't for the faint of heart. Look at how many divorces there are, how many breakups there are. We have a much greater failure rate at relationships than we do have a success rate in relationships. And yet, here's the thing. Why do we keep going back? Because love, commitment, you know what? It's a risk. It's a gigantic risk, but it's still the best game in town. I'm going to tell you, there's nothing like being with someone who gets you, where you can be yourself. So I want to invite in that we relationship for everybody. So I want you to all close your eyes for a moment. I'm going to put my hands together and I'm going to offer a prayer for everyone that's listening today, because I want you all to experience that we type of relationship. God, universe, spirit, I invite in for everybody watching today, that kind of we relationship I talked about with that person who does have emotional IQ, that shows up in that high value state, that character level state, where the chemistry between the two of you when you meet is certainly palpable, certainly enough to where you go, I want to go on a second date. I want to go on a third date because I am attracted to this person. And beyond the chemistry, the communication between the two of you is off the charts, and the banter can go on for hours and hours at a time. And whenever you have a conflict with one another, you're able to resolve the conflicts with ease, because you operate not from a place of being right, from a place of being happy. And also you use that nonviolent communication techniques taught by Marshall Rosenberg, which means you're simply speaking from a compassionate place, expressing what your needs are and generating agreements between the two of you. And your lifestyles can blend together. One of the challenges for those of us in midlife is we have oftentimes complicated lives, but for those that are attracting in that beautiful, juicy, delicious relationship, I hope that you can blend lives together with ease. And also you can build the deep roots of trust through shared values, a shared vision of a commitment, and that emotional maturity. And lastly, as I said, building the deep roots of trust. You do social activities, hobbies, mutual interests, spending time with family and friends, traveling together, teamwork, building skills, both in your personal and professional life, intimacy, both physical and emotional intimacy that builds the deep roots of trust. God, universe, spirit, I invite that in for everyone listening today, because I want you to experience that all in third level of relationship. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating with you? Please let me know if it is. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this conversation. Post a comment below. I do my best to read them all in the first 24 hours. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos. And if you want to connect with me directly, there's links below to schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. There's a link to join my group called Midlife Love Mastery. There's a link to follow, to get all the books I recommend, to follow me on Instagram, to get my dating vows, all listed below. All right, those who know my live format know it's time for Q&A. If you have a question, there's a little chat box down there in the corner. Write the word question, then post the question there after. Or you can purchase a super sticker, super chat. All of the monies from the super sticker, super chat goes to a scholarship fund in the name of my son, Connor Asley. That's one of my favorite pictures of him right there. He's my son who passed away over 6 years ago. In his honor, we donate to causes like the Hoffman Process, Insight Institute, and we offer scholarships to coaching as well. Our goal tonight is $50, so I'd appreciate the love. Thanks so much. Also, if you want to join the Love Seat, I just post a link right here. You can click Join Me Live. We can speak on camera by clicking that link in the chat box. All right. Jennifer says this is resonating. Lisa says thank you. Monica says AM. Annika's in the house. Question. Is there an expectation that men have when it comes to intimacy? I can't get intimate and have sex after a couple dates and was rejected because of this, which I'm fine with you. Thoughts? Well, I mean, to some degree, men are driven biologically to be physically intimate. It's one of the ways we actually bond with you ladies, okay? Physical intimacy is how we bond. So do we have an expectation? I mean, we certainly have a desire. You know, and by the way, men oftentimes when they've said, and I quote, being physically intimate with a woman is the closest they've experienced God. Like when two people join together, their bodies join together, there's a spiritual component that helps. I mean, men have said they experience God in this space. So, I mean, those are as far as an expectation, I would prefer that two people have physical intimacy when they're both agree to it and they're aligned with one another. But I don't think you should expect sex just for the sake of having sex. I hope it's so you can connect at a more emotional level with another human being. Okay, great question. Thank you so much. Debbie just gave us a $20 super sticker for a great cause. Thank you for the love. We appreciate you, Debbie, and welcome back. We missed you for the last couple months, and I want you to know you've been missed by myself and a lot of others in this that could join us live. So thank you. Leslie is in the house. Are people with an avoidant attachment style capable of the kind of commitment you speak about? Avoidance can commit. It's just they oftentimes are emotionally unavailable, emotionally complicated, emotionally constipated, or they're emotional zombies. They struggle opening up from an emotional perspective, but that doesn't mean that they can't commit to another human being, but oftentimes they're a bit emotionally void. At least that's my perception of avoidant people, particularly dismissive avoidant. Fearful avoidants are a little bit different because they kind of have a duality within them, but that's my perception of dismissive avoidance. So Leslie, thank you. Oh, Debbie is nice enough to say, thank you, Jonathan. I missed everyone too. We missed you a lot. Annika just gave us a $5 super sticker. Thank you for the love. We appreciate you. All right, let's see if there's any other questions. Allison earlier said you can support each other's me while building a we. You can have both. Yes, that is. However, relationships come with it a level of emotional and physical responsibility. And while there's that transition phase, for some people, sometimes it happens. For some people, it might feel like too much. And when a man says, let's take it slow, it's because he's struggling to meet you at an emotional level or that physical level. And what I mean by physical level, I don't mean sex. I mean taking care of someone, that level. Okay, great question. Dr. Emma says, always a great message. This one is terrific. It opened my eyes as quick as a cat can wink its eye on a serious tip. Well, thank you so much, Doctor. I appreciate that. Let's see what else we've got here. Okay. FYI 1993 has a question. If he said, let's start as friends, does that mean he's interested? he's certainly interested at starting as friends. I mean, by the way, the minute a man engages with a woman, there's something there. Does that mean it's, I see myself with her for the rest of my life? No, that's not what it means. It just means that there's a curiosity. That's why we date. We date to get to know another human being, to see if we align on our values, to see if we align on our vision, to see if we can blend lives together, to see if our emotional maturity is on the same page. That's why it's called dating. All right. Does anyone want to join the love seat? And by the way, if we don't have more questions coming in, this is going to be a very short broadcast. So I need some fodder. I need some conversation here. All right, I'll give you an update on my relationship as we're having while I'm waiting for more questions. So I'm going into the 7th week of somebody who I see regularly. I mean, we practically see each other 4 or 5 days a week just because of proximity. We live near each other. We spent the weekend together. We had a fun time this past weekend. Well, one thing is she got me started on Ozarks a couple days back, and we got through the first season. And then on Sunday, we just did a binge watch and got through the second season. I mean, it was one of those, we were just both wiped out from a fun day out at Manhattan Village on Saturday, where we went out and did some shopping and that sort of thing. So we just did a Netflix and chill day. It was a lot of fun. We were playing games with one another. So far it's progressing. Do I have my fears? Do I have my doubts? Do I fear giving up my freedom? Yeah, I'm feeling all of those things, but that doesn't preclude me from wanting to progress and move forward. I'm not led by my fears, but I'm certainly aware that they exist. This is one of the reasons why I did this broadcast today, because I know I'm experiencing what so many men experience. I think it's kind of naive that we just expect this all in right away. It should just be something like fireworks and lightning and butterflies in our stomach. I think the healthiest relationships are built walking through doors. And when you walk through one door and another door and another door, you build trust with one another. And that's what I'm experiencing. So just wanted to give you an update on that. And if you have any questions about that, feel free to ask it in the chat box. Annika's back in the house. How fast can we progress into level 2 teamwork in relationship? I think that can happen as early as 6 weeks in dating. I think you can begin the building blocks of teamwork. But I think it takes a good 3 to 6 months of teamwork to really ingrain by the way, I'm talking about couples that can spend regular time together on average of 2 to 3 to 4 days and nights a week together. But Jonathan, I'm in a long distance relationship and we can't do teamwork. All we can do is telephone and texting. How's your day going? Did you have a good day? Tell me about your day. I need to know about your day because all we talk about is our day. And let me just tell you about my day. Let me tell you about my day. This is 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 my day. I want to tell you all about my day because we have this amazing connection. We've never physically met each other. We just have this amazing telephone connection, pretty much like having a connection with some AI bot. Because I got to tell you something, folks, many of you find yourself in a cyber relationship with someone. If you want to build the deep roots of trust, you have to do it through social activities, hobbies, mutual interests, spending time with family and friends, traveling together, teamwork building skills, both in your personal and your professional life. So when does it begin? It can start happening as early as 6 weeks in. And it takes a good 6 months to a year to build that real strong base where you reach that level of going, I want to go all in with this person. These are just rough timelines. They're not absolutes, okay? Patricia's in the house. Question, all in and we. Where do you meet men? I really don't go to taverns. I pick up guys. I really don't like dating apps. All right, here's a great question. This is a reality. If your life isn't in a circumstance where you are surrounded by single eligible people that are age appropriate, probably for the most of us, the last time that was the case was either our high school or college days, possibly a work environment. If you're not surrounded by single eligible people on a regular basis because your lifestyle doesn't put you in those vantage points, then you literally have to make a plan to be in environments where you're around people. Now, just remember, people will tell you, just do what you love. Join a pickleball class. You're going to meet so many people. Here's the thing about pickleball. Yeah, one guy might be eligible, okay, or two guys might be eligible because you have a lot of couples that do this sort of thing. I wouldn't join pickleball or some activity thinking you're going to meet someone. Just do it because you love it. But I'm going to tell you, the number one place to meet people is the dating apps. Whether we like it or not, 65% of all new relationships happen through some level of online connection. So if you don't like it, you just eliminated your greatest chance for connecting with people. Otherwise, call your friends, ask to be set up ask every one of your friends, who do you know is single, and start to put together a list. Because if you want to meet, just like when I was sharing the story of Sleepless in Seattle, it's easier to be killed by a terrorist than to meet someone. That's the reality. Online dating changed it. By the way, online dating has radically been the most successful way for people to meet. So you can either embrace it or you can reject it. But you know what? That's like saying, I'm going to reject the telephone and never use a telephone. It's going to be hard to survive in today's environment without a smartphone or telephone. That's just my 2 cents anyway. FYI 1993 has a question. I initiated texting. He answered quickly, and it ends with 2-hour texting or phone calls, but he won't initiate much often. Should I leave him alone? Okay. How far apart do you live from one another? If you can't physically meet in the next couple days, don't waste your time. Jonathan, but I've got this amazing cyber connection. We talk all day long. We text each other all day long. It's so amazing. We just keep talking and texting and texting and talking, texting and talking via text. Oh, it's been 6 months? Oh, you've never spoken to him on the phone? Oh, you've never had a FaceTime? Oh, you've never met on a date? Lady, listen, the definition of insanity is communicating via text messaging. Get on a phone call as soon as possible. Get on a FaceTime or Zoom as soon as possible. And if they can't, next. Marianne wants to remind everyone, you can't create when you're not together. Exactly. Brown Canetta wants to remind everyone, AI bot, that's so true. So many superficial people nowadays. Or false. I was on a singles bowling league. Okay, that's another, good point. Singles bowling league, singles travel group. I mean, if you're going to start going to singles event where singles are, that's unless you put yourself in that environment and you're intentional about it, they're not going to knock on your front door. Just be aware of that. Let's keep going. I think the dating apps have too many scammers. You know what? I've met hundreds of people in my 20 years of being after my divorce. I'm, by the way, some of my closest friends who I've been to weddings in the last 10 years all met through a dating app. Yes, that they're a scam artist, but there's just as many real people out there. You just got to get on a telephone call and a FaceTime as soon as possible. FYI is back. Isn't video chat will reduce the excitement to meet in real life? I'd rather meet in person better than. No, you gotta qualify this person. By the way, if you're excited on Zoom, you're even going to be more excited when you meet in person. So that just adds to the excitement. All right, what else for questions we have? My question is, I'm a widow. Okay. Patricia says, thank you for answering my questions. I appreciate you. Thank you, Patricia. Aloha from Hawaii. Hawaii is in the house. Hey, who wants to join the hot seat, the love seat? Come on, it'd be fun to have one of you. Let's do a deep dive. I promise to be as kind as possible. Someone be brave and join me live. It makes the broadcast go by so much better. But if we don't have questions popping in the few next minutes, we're going to wrap up early today. And I'd appreciate to get some love. We are $25 away from our goal for the Connor Asley Scholarship Fund. Hit that little $ in the chat box and donate. Also, if you have a question, write the word question, then post the question thereafter. And if you have a personal question of me, write it down. I don't mind sharing. Within reason, I don't mind sharing personal information with everybody. All right, we're going to give it one more minute. If we don't have any good content come, we're going to wrap up early. Come on, I need some fodder. I need some love. I need some comments. I need some questions. Trista says, and I think men fall in love by doing things, not over the phone. Certainly, we need sex before we're ever going to consummate a deal with someone, so we're going to need that physical connection. Patricia says, I'm sorry, I have a headache tonight. Oh, 61 starting over just gave us a $5 super sticker. That means our goal tonight is $20 more to get to that goal of $50. All right, Hap Girl. I've been with a great guy for 1.5 years. I'm 45. He's 51 at level 2 of commitment wise. We live close by to each other. Not sure if he's avoiding level 3 or it'll take more time. These days, a significant percentage of men and women are afraid of all-in relationships. This is just the reality is today. So is he avoiding level 3 or is not prepared? I think it's important to have these more, if you've been dating a year and a half, this is the time to have the shit or get off the pot question is, are you on the same page on what you want long-term? And I would have that conversation as soon as humanly possible, Hap Girl, okay? That would be my invitation for you. Have that conversation. Hey, where's this relationship going? By the way, ladies, if the penis goes inside the vagina on a regular basis, you have every right to ask, what do you want? Are we on the same page? It's not about where's this relationship going, is are we on the same page of what we want in relationship? Hey, Diane is in the house. Thank you for the $5 super sticker. We appreciate the love. Big hugs, Diane. Appreciate that. All right. Deb, debt-free with Natalie has a question. What's the funniest date you've ever been on, activity-wise? It would be fun, even if the person wasn't so great. What is the funnest date I've ever had? Gosh, I've done crazy things like met somebody. I think I was flirting with someone who lived in Colorado. I live in Los Angeles. We met up in Phoenix. I don't know if that counts. One of my second dates, we went to Disneyland. That was fun. Oh, actually, I think one of the funnest first dates I have was Halloween. Our first date was on Halloween. We got dressed up and went to this total dive bar with music and dancing. I think that was one of the funniest ones. Funnest date I ever had was Halloween. We got dressed up. She was a go-go girl and I was a hippie. Okay. God, I'd forgotten about that. Brown Canetta's in the house. Are any of your friends going to the art show this weekend? It's great art. Not planning on. I'm going to a dinner party with my girlfriend. RN Lynn says, did you have a nice Valentine's Day? Of course, Jonathan, Valentine's Day could be any day, just showing care. So we end up doing a spiritual journey on Valentine's Day. Many of you know I'm a psychonaut, and we started at 11 o'clock on the living room floor, and we tripped out for about 6-7 hours. It was a great journey. We shared a lot of stuff from our heart. So ours was a picnic on the living room floor. As I said earlier, I'm a psychonaut, and we tripped out together. That was my Valentine's Day gift to her. She wrote me a beautiful card. I followed up with a beautiful letter later. Bren is in the house. Why do 65-year-old widowers so afraid of trying a new relationship? After all, the first marriage was happy. Wouldn't the second one also? Hey, folks, I think it's important to recognize that when we've loved someone and they've left us, it can, by the way, many of you know I lost a child. Do you think that ever goes away? No. When we love someone and they pass away, it's by the way, I lost a child. That doesn't mean I'm going to go adopt a new child to fill that space. I'm coming back to, after all, the first marriage was happy. Wouldn't the second one? It's not like you can replace it that way. So a lot of people are afraid and gun shy. It's a very natural feeling to have a heart that might still be hurting. That's a very natural feeling. I don't think we should judge someone who's afraid. Just recognize that it's a fact of life. It's hard to listen. I have a hole. I mean, there's a hole in my heart where my son used to reside. Nobody can fill that hole. I just have to adapt to it. Anyway, and I'm using that as a comparison with a life partner. Okay. FYI 1993 question. He does not like to push too much. I know that since the beginning he asked for email instead of phone number, but I said I don't deal with emails, so we chatted over the phone. Okay, cool. Monica's in the house. Question: what is the etiquette surrounding asking for or giving your phone number on a dating site? And is caution and hesitation part of men a red flag? I recommend everybody get a Google phone number. I have a Google phone number. You can give out your Google phone number. It's not giving out your personal phone number. Any person is hesitant to talk on the phone, hey, just say, you know what? I understand how you feel. Listen, I'm just going to keep talking to other people who are willing to have a phone call. And if you ever want to have a phone call with me, let me know. It's, by the way, if you're afraid to have a phone call, what else are you afraid of in life? If you're afraid to have a phone call, I'm a nice human being. There's not much, this is a friendly chat. Just like if two people met at the grocery store, it's a friendly chat. If you have a reluctance to it, what else are you hiding then? Marianne, personal question. Are you both night owls or a day? Oh, okay. So the woman I'm dating, I am an early bird and she's a night owl. We are two complete opposites, but I got to tell you something. I get up at 5 a.m. I love the quiet. I love the quiet. I've always enjoyed the quiet of the morning. But she is a night owl and I'm a day person. But it seems to work. Let's see. Kojesha Essentials question. I've been in a long distance relationship for 2 years now. He's planning on moving to where I am, but he is fearful of failing to make me happy. He is such a people pleaser. What can I say? Are you happy? Do you share with him your happiness? To him, feel more comfortable with moving. Here's the thing. It's a big, by the way, you're talking about a gigantic shift of our life when we move to be with someone else. That can be a very scary thing. So it sounds like the two of you have not built enough trust with one another to feel emotionally safe, which sounds like you don't have significant emotional conversations. I'm just speculating here. But he's fearful of failing to make me happy. I would find out why he has that fear and what can you do to reassure him. I would simply say, can you be more specific about your fear and what can I do to reassure you? I care about you. I want you in my life. What can I do to reassure you? What is the need that's missing? And let's talk about how we can fill that need. Question, you didn't give roses on Valentine's Day, only a card? No, I gave an experience for the day. We did a psychedelic journey. I gave her an experience. I'm not a big Valentine's Day person, by the way. I believe every day I treat someone like it's Valentine's Day. And I did buy flowers shortly after our second or third date. So let's keep going. Allison says, I need more details on Psychonaut experience. Do you use a particular substance? Yes, psilocybin is what I use. Psilocybin and sometimes MDMA. Holly Berry wants to let her know we haven't seen Debbie Mueller in a while. Haven't seen you for a while. Good to see you. Yes, we are all excited to have you here. Esther wants to acknowledge it's a good idea. Get a Google phone number. Exactly. Have you ever really been experienced? I wonder, can you elaborate on that question? All right, we're going to give it another minute. We need more questions. Anyone want to join the love seat? We're posting a link right here. You can ask a question live. All right, looks like we have a bashful group. Have you ever really been experienced tripping? Yes, the one thing about why is it called a trip when you do a psychedelic journey? Because I go into outer space. Thankfully, I float back to Earth very gently. But yes, it's a very fun experience. All right, folks, we're just going to give it, come on, I need some content. You got to give me something so I can talk about. Okay, I'll share with you. I'm not a big fan of Valentine's Day. I don't like a contrived day for love. I think we should treat our partners every day with some level of love, care. By the way, I think the best relationships have the 4 A's. Attention, affection, appreciation, and acceptance. Attention, affection, appreciation. This is your multivitamin. Your relationship should be given this every single day. And when you're doing that every single day, then every day is Valentine's Day. You don't need a special day for that, at least in my book. When you treat somebody, you give attention, affection, appreciation, and acceptance every single day. You can't ask for a better Valentine's than doing that every single day. Debbie wants to say, so true, Jonathan. Patricia says, I agree with you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right. Oh, Aaron Lynn, $5 super sticker. Oh, we're almost close. We need $10 more to get to our goal tonight of $50. I'd appreciate that love. Thank you so much. Holly Berry says, agree, every day is Valentine's Day when you treat your partner with care, kindness, respect, cherishment, attention, affection, appreciation, and acceptance. Every day is Valentine's Day when you operate from an intentional point of view versus a passive or usatory point of view. You see, sadly, many of us are in relationship where they're either being entertained or wanting to be entertained. You're either entertaining someone or you're wanting to be entertained, but you're not connecting at that heart-centered level. That requires attention, affection, appreciation, and acceptance with another human being. Vicky wants to know, how do you forgive yourself when making the mistake with the wrong man? I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. That is the Hawaiian forgiveness prayer. Folks, it's imperative that we learn to forgive ourselves because there are no mistakes. There are no wrong people. It's just someone who was misaligned with you for a period of time. You don't need to beat yourself up for it. Be grateful. Ask yourself, what positive things about yourself did you learn in this experience? How have I healed from this experience? What was good about this experience? And what am I most grateful for? Those would be 4 questions, Vicky, I invite you to ask of yourself, because that will allow for healing along the way. All right. This will be the last question of the night. Question, can you tell us what she might have complimented you on since you both meeting? Well, the one thing that I think you're asking about my relationship. She compliments me on my capacity to be emotionally expressive. She compliments me on my vulnerability, my authenticity, and transparency. She acknowledges it regularly, and she shares express appreciation for it, which to me, appreciating my capacity to be vulnerable, authentic, and transparent feels like a compliment to me. So that, I hope that answers your question. It's my capacity to be vulnerable, authentic, and transparent, my emotional IQ. Okay. Brown Canessa says, thank you, Jonathan. Great content tonight. All right, folks. Debbie says she's a smart woman. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Folks, this has been fun to chat with you tonight. The most common fear men experience before they fully commit, the fear is to surrender, to let go, to give up our perceived freedom for the benefit of teamwork and all in. And that takes a letting go, a surrender, because it's kind of, it can be, we can all get kind of stuck in our groove. Okay. All right, folks. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this conversation. Post a comment below. I do my best to read them all in the first 24 hours. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos. And if you want to connect with me directly, there's links below to schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. There's a link to join my group called Midlife Love Mastery. There's a link to get the books I recommend. There's a link to get my dating vows, to follow me on Instagram, all the books, all listed below. All right, I'm going to wrap up this video as I always do. First off, giving myself a big, gigantic Jonathan Merrick of self-love. I'm going to reach into the camera and give you a hug of love if that's okay. I'm asking you to turn to someone, a pet, a teddy bear, a pillow, give it or them a hug of love, because hugs are a great source of love. And let's face it, we could all use more love in our lives. I want to thank Debbie for being back in the house. I want to thank Annika and RM Lynn and Monica and Vicky and Essentials and Day and Lisa and Brown Canetta and Melissa and Vicky and everybody who donated tonight. I want to thank you all for the love. Holly Berry, Allison, FY 1993. Who else? Diane Brezel. Starting 61, starting over. Everyone, thanks for the love. Wishing you all a super duper wonderful evening. Oh, wait, last, she has a personal question. Spit it out before we wrap up. I'll give it another second since she has a personal question if she writes it down quickly before I wrap up tonight. Come on, we'll give it another second. You have a personal question. What is it? Monica says, thank you for an excellent session. Awesome conversations. Thank you for your help. Appreciate it. All right. We're going to wrap up. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Be well. Bye now. Bye.